Welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast, proud to be the world's #1 community for brilliant childcare leaders. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Elif Childcare Insurance. Give Blake a call at 972-232-2258 to get a free quote on childcare business insurance today. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast, our hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
Welcome to episode 50 of the Childcare Genius podcast.
We are your hosts, Brian Dupre, and my guest co-host today is Miss Cindy Alexander. Carol got called away, and she stepped in as my guest co-host today. I'm so excited. So how are you today, Cindy?
I'm doing great. So glad to be here. This is a super fun afternoon for me.
I'm excited. We're going to record our first podcast together as far as co-host, which is awesome. But before we get started, we got an amazing guest today. But before we get started, I want to talk about a webinar we are having on August 8th, 2023. And what time are we having it, Cindy?
2 p.m. Eastern time.
2 p.m. Eastern time. We are doing a webinar on, it's called Wealth Roadmap, the top 10 financial strategies of childcare multimillionaires. Wouldn't you like to know the strategies that successful childcare millionaires and successful childcare multimillionaires employ? We're going to go through the 10 strategies and how you could change and do some of those habits. So if you're not a childcare millionaire or childcare multimillionaire today, you employ these strategies we're going to teach. And within a few years, you will become one yourself. It's going to be great. It's an advanced topic. It's going to be a 1-hour webinar, and it's absolutely free. How do they register, Cindy?
So just go to childcaregenius.com and you'll find a button near the top of the page and click to register. So we're so excited to see you there. It's definitely an advanced topic, and I am looking forward to hearing what you have to bring to us, Brian.
Yep, thank you. And Carol and I are going to be doing this one together. We are childcare multimillionaires, and we have coached dozens of childcare multimillionaires and probably 100 childcare millionaires. We know a lot of the strategies that they've employed, and we're going to share them with you. And we just can't wait. We're excited. So our guest today on the podcast is someone I've known for a long time. I've been to her schools. I've coached her for many years. And Amy Fish has a very neat story of overcoming adversity and hardship. And I think this story is going to resonate with a lot of people. She's in Dallas, Texas area. She's got 4 schools. And I think you're going to enjoy meeting Miss Amy Fish today.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear her story. Let's get Amy on the line, Brian.
Hi, Amy and Cindy. Welcome to Childcare Genius podcast. How you guys doing today?
Great, thank you.
So Cindy, thank you so much for filling in last minute as our guest co-host today. Carol got called away for this recording, and I didn't want to have to reschedule Amy. So Cindy gladly stepped in, and we're excited to have her here. And we have on the line with us, Amy Fish. I've known Amy for a very long time. She's a great lady. I've been to her schools, amazing programs, and I wanted to get her on the podcast a little bit to talk to you a little bit about her schools, the things she's doing down in Texas, and a little bit of excitement and some really cool hobbies she has. We'll talk about that as well. So Amy, welcome. You're in a Dallas, Texas area, right?
Yes, right between Dallas and Fort Worth.
How hot is it down there? It's July as we're recording this. How hot is it?
Today's forecast is a low of 82 and a high of 108.
I kind of like the low better.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think I'd be melting away at 108.
Mm-hmm.
So note to self, visiting Dallas in the summer, only visit at night.
You know, we've had summers that did not come down below 100 at night. It was like 115 during the day. That's like Arizona temperatures.
Yeah. So,
or Vegas.
People probably say that for us. Cindy and I both live in northern snow. In the wintertime, they're all like, "Oh my God, how do you handle 20 degrees of below zero temperatures?" Oh, you get used to it.
You know what, though? This is going to sound a little airhead, but I think it's funny. In Texas, the thermometers don't have a below zero. I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Really?
Yes. We don't need it. We never go below zero. We might go below freezing barely.
Oh. Well, maybe my thermometer doesn't go above 100 because it never gets above 100. So
out.
I never thought about that. So thanks for bringing that to me. Now I'm going to look. Now I'm going to look.
I know. I thought it was so weird because my son moved to New Hampshire and they had negative. I'm like, I don't even know what negative is for weather. So
wow.
It's kind of weird.
So, Amy, why don't we dive right in? And can you just tell us a little bit more about your schools and how you got into the childcare business? I know we'd all love to hear your story.
Oh, thank you. Sure. I am married to David, and he is a tax accountant and an auditor. And I was teaching, and we started a family and started having children. And I was working part-time as a teacher, and I wound up just running myself to death to try to fit to work with Mother's Day out hours. And it just wasn't working. And so we looked into regular childcare, and it was more than I would make teaching. So I was like, I'm not going to pay to work. There's a reason. So I stayed home. And then when we started ready for me to go back to work, we just started kicking around the idea of having our own business and something we could have the children with us. So I didn't really even, I guess I wanted to, but I was a little skittish because David's like, you'd be great at it. We should have a small childcare center. I'm like, you're crazy. I don't even like kids. But I was just teasing. So the way we approached it is we opened the phone book and just said, God, if we need to do this, you're going to have to help because I don't have any idea. So I left messages for 10 churches. We figured churches might be a really efficient way to get started because they already have little people furniture, classrooms, and don't always use their space during the week. So we called 10 and 2 called me back, and we negotiated and opened our first little bitty center in First United Methodist Church of Bedford. We had 2 classrooms and 18 children, and 5 of them at least were staff kids, of course.
Yep.
And so we grew, though. It was crazy. No one was doing what we were doing. There were the major chains, and then there was just the grandma house type daycare, a few in-homes. But our program is Christian-based and Montessori-inspired. So we really empower that individual, meeting the child where they are and helping them have the skills they need for success in the future. So definitely the social emotional. My Christian education, I think, is interesting. I had my children in Mother's Day out, and they were a little heavy-handed with the Old Testament, and I didn't really appreciate that as a parent with my 2-year-old. So we take the fruit of the Spirit. I don't know if everybody knows that in Galatians, and it's see if I can do it without singing. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. So we take a fruit every month, and we teach them, what does self-control look like at home or in public or in the car? And we tell the kids, what is their job and what does self-control look like in all those places? And then they understand what their job is, and you're setting them up for success. And just knowing, it's also a way to empower them with some cautionary tales that don't scare them. So one example is when we're covering love, we talk about how families show love. Some high five, some kiss on the mouth, crawl up in your lap, great big hugs. It just depends on what your family does. But then the next week you do like trusted adults, like teacher and clergy and soccer coaches. And, maybe kissing on the mouth isn't as appropriate there. Maybe you're doing high fives and side hugs and handshake, the handshake things you come up with. And so you just go on. And one of them is, and you might have to flag me because talking about this is kind of funny, but I tell the kids, how many of y'all how do you show love to the lady at the McDonald's drive-thru? And I tell them, okay, so you jump out of your car seat and you climb across your parent, fly in the window and give them a big smooch on the mouth, right? And they all start laughing. I'm like, no, but that's not showing love. Showing love is just don't be rude, be kind. Don't be like, make sure there's not a single onion on that hamburger or I'm sending it back. You don't have to do that. You can say, how is it? How are you? It's 108 out here. Are you doing okay there with water? And, just talk to them. It's kind of funny when you do that. They'll just look at you because a lot of people don't. They just like do their motions. But anyway, I'm going on and on but that's what I love about, we do little Bible verses. We do the Fruit of the Spirit song, which if you YouTube it, there's a lot of funny ones. There's chants and marches but it's something that helps the kids learn about what is appropriate.
Love that.
Using the Bible verses. So that, and then putting it together with freedom to choose, like we plan for the week and we'll have stations. So that's a little bit Montessori where they can go station to station. I had to come up with something, in my opinion, for our area where they were learning things immediately because the parents want to see immediate. And Montessori, when you have the time, they learn so much, but it can take a while because you're learning everything from the environment. So I tried to do a combination program.
I love how you found a way to customize your service to incorporate who you are and what you stand for and provide service for families that would align with that same type of mentality. So kudos to you for putting together such a great program.
Thank you.
How many schools do you have, Amy?
We have 4.
4.
We had 7. We started with the 1 and it grew from 18 kids in August to 86 kids in April. Wow. And that was crazy. Success is a lot more difficult to deal with than failure. You can send people home, you can close classrooms. It hurts your heart. But when you have 50 kids show up at the door and your 3 teachers are looking at you like, what are we going to do? So it takes some systems for sure. So we went from 1, and then the most we've had at one time is 7. At one time, I think I had 4 different websites going, and that got really crazy. And so then we just branded everything as Kids Campus. So it's really fun. 2016, something happened because we did 5 schools in 1 year. That was a little crazy.
Yeah, I was working with you at that time. I remember how crazy it was coaching you during that transition. And but I love working with Amy. You're a great person to work with. And last year you got hurt pretty bad. You had a pretty bad injury that sidelined you. But yet your businesses kept running without you. So did having systems in place help you when you're away from school for such a long time?
It did. After we were going to do the podcast, I actually went back and asked my team. Before COVID, we had 7 schools, and I had a team of 21 women. And that was the directors and the office staff, corporate office. And so when we shut down, we still had a lot of those people. I mean, it went down to like 6 instead of 21, but they just all work together. So as we've been building it back up, they've just kept on with the systems. And I'm sure that it was different just having your owner disappear. I had a ruptured ligament. We were getting ready for competition, and when I got back in heels, we were about 3 weeks out from the Arizona competition. I kicked my instep and ruptured a ligament. And then it just kept getting worse and worse and swollen and streaks going up my leg. And so they thought they were going to have to amputate my foot. That's why my new video in tennis shoes dancing is so amazing to me. It makes me feel so blessed because we didn't know if I'd even walk. I was bedridden. I mean, I could not put any weight on my left foot. It was like 4 months. I had a PICC line. I had a wound vac. There's all these things trailing along behind me. So I was on a scooter and a wheelchair. This is crazy. I kind of block it out a little bit. We had 6 surgeries in, 4 in 1 week and then 2 more 6 weeks later. Wow. So it's crazy. But yes, what happened was my whole team was like, okay, well, just step it up. And they all, like all the directors, were taking care of their own schools. They knew the ordering process. They knew if they needed something, how to get it. And they tried to give the corporate office notice and make sure they weren't having emergencies that were unnecessary, and they just all worked together beautifully. We didn't lose anybody. I don't think that we grew like we would with me pushing and sending leads and all that, but they not only lost me, they lost my daughter because she was 8 months pregnant when that happened. So then she was out on maternity leave and had my grandson. So they were 2 corporate members down. And that was with the 4 schools. So, but they did good. They leaned on each other and they worked with corporate. And one thing, this might not be the question, but I think it is. No, it's not. Never mind. Go ahead. Sorry, I will ramble. I do go on and on, but I'm very blessed with my team. And I'm just so thankful to be able to walk and social dance. And the fact that I can get back to competing is just like, I feel like a walking miracle.
Yeah, so having those systems in place really helped your team to level up and take on that leadership, more leadership role when you were absent. So having those systems in place is key. It's so key to success in your business, especially when something like this happens. And I'm sorry to cut you off, Brian. I was just inspired by what
great minds think alike. Exactly what I was going to say, Cindy, is that's the story here. Is if you don't have systems in place in your business and something does happen to you, how's your business going to survive? So, whether you have 1 school or 10 schools, systems are very important. And this is a testimony, Amy. So I'm glad we put those systems in place in 2016. You used them later on, and good job to your team. Congratulate them, and well done.
Yeah, they're awesome.
So besides systems, what other advice would you give somebody who might be struggling running their childcare business?
Being a director of a childcare center is very overwhelming. And then when you take it to the ownership level, everything that happens comes to you. You're bringing the payroll, you're paying the bills, you're negotiating. So that ownership component is a whole component on itself. And there are a lot of people that try to do both. And either whether you're owner operator or just, owner and you're not trying to direct, it's a very lonely job and stuff comes at you really fast. And so it's very easy to get overwhelmed and even depressed and try to shut down. The biggest help that I have found is finding groups that inspire you and people that inspire you and just talk to them, because you feel like you're all alone and you're not. That was one of the weirdest things. I've been in coaching for years, at least 10 years. And that was the biggest thing for me. I actually went to my first event, or one event. It wasn't my first, but I went in 2014 to try and get the leaders there to help me sell my businesses and get me prepared to sell, because I actually had gotten melanoma and had to have a skin graft onto my arm, and that I thought was a big deal until this year. Then I realized Oh, just a little deal. Anyway, so I was going to just sell them in 14, but we wound up refinding my passion and handling the stress. And it's really just having coaches. It can feel, I know I was shocked, and I'm married to an auditor, how much some of the coaching programs can cost. But you've got to look at it with perspective, because he would always be like, oh, you're never going to do that. You don't need to do that. But once I started doing it, it was amazing, because if you're working it, you've got to show up. But if you're working it, it makes you money and it helps you. I mean, I got the systems from the coachings and books that people told me to read. And, so it's just great to know you're not by yourself, and reach out and get a mentor, join some groups, get a coach. Don't try to do it by yourself.
Thank you for that plug, Amy. We love that.
I know. All right.
I didn't ask for that, but thank you.
Well, but it's true. And I've lived it. I've lived I don't want to pay that. And then being around the people and the instruction you get has made such a difference. Well, look, I can walk away for 6 months and my business is still there. I mean, I did not go in. I didn't take phone calls, nothing.
Yeah. Last week we recorded a podcast, and we talked about one of the biggest mistakes we made earlier. If we could go back, we would get coaching sooner in our business. We figured we'd be bigger. It's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. And, all great professional athletes are coached and they make millions of dollars. And usually their coach, they were much better at what their job is than they are, and they just make them better. Right. Coaches can make you better. So let's talk about goals, because, I'm big in goal setting and helping owners with goals. What's one business goal you might have set for 2023?
Although we have systems, I still feel like the payroll department has a system and human resources has a system. And so years ago, I was introduced to rocket fuel and traction. And I want to implement the EOS system throughout the organization, so everybody's talking the same language. So that's one thing.
We love EOS.
And then the other one is, I'm good at starting stuff and then moving on. And I take my inspiration and my energy. And so we're great at starting schools and the energy. And then they do good. I don't know if y'all have read the Jim Collins book, Good to Great, but it truly is like, we're good, but nowhere are we great. So this year, after what I've been through, my perspective has changed on quite a few things. And so before we expand further, which I'm getting the bug to do, we're focusing in and getting these schools full and profitable, because luckily at the same time we've had things happening, we were able to take advantage of some of the government funding. So I don't know if anyone else has, but that is a very false sense of security. Because when that's gone, you're going to have to be in the black, so that's what I'm trying to get school by school, get the budget tight and make sure we don't have extra payroll and, just really get each school profitable.
That is amazing. It sounds like you are a great business owner, and you're also a great dancer. We've alluded to that, a little bit throughout our conversation. I've seen some of your videos on Facebook. I love when you share them. But can you tell us a little bit more about how you got into dancing, and, if you've been able to get back into dancing since your accident? I know you talked a little bit about it, but we haven't been able to dive into that.
I started dancing because, I've always wanted to dance. I danced in college. I went to Texas A&M, and Thursday nights were a big go with a big group to the honky tonk and dance, because you took your own dance partners, and it was a lot of fun. And then I got married to a guy that didn't want to dance. So I just kind of didn't dance for about 25 years. But I've always wanted to, but I thought we had to do it together. So another coach that I was working with was talking about going to dance, West Coast swing parties and dance lessons. But she didn't have a partner, and I didn't know you could go without a partner. So she inspired me, and I called up the local dance studios and got a Groupon, and there you go. So the other thing with dance is I'm not the most graceful person to begin with. And so, with balance and all that, when I dance, I cannot think about anything else. I legit will fall. And I've fallen a couple times, but so it's a great, that's the other tip I didn't say is reach out for people and then find a stress relief that you can do, because that has really saved my mental acumen, is just to be able to go dance. And that's an hour. I don't think about anything except what part of my foot I'm landing on, or is it heel or toe, or where's my head, my frame, and the core. Don't forget your core lifting up. Yes. So yes, I started physical therapy in the last part of February, learning how to walk again. And then in March, I started kind of like physical therapy. I mean, we just walked back and forth and just moved a little bit. And then it's gotten better and better. Like, you almost can't tell that I've had an injury. So I really do believe in coaching, and this is going to sound like a plug, but it's really not. So in my dance career, I'm a competitive ballroom dancer. We have the head of the judges that judges in our organization. He gives us coaching. He flies in from Florida once a month, and we take lessons with him to improve. So this dance studio I'm with has just really given us an amazing opportunity to learn. And I just
That's great. And you know what I'm looking forward to, Amy? Is seeing you in person in Jamaica in September at our conference, and you teaching maybe Carol and I a couple of little dance moves that we could do ourselves. Because it looks so cool watching you do a foxtrot or a tango, and it's just amazing. It's such graceful dance. I actually love watching it. It's very meditative, and I think I know where this question's going. At the end of our conversation, we always ask somebody a mindset question. I got a feeling I know the answer to this already, but where is your happy place? And we define a happy place as somewhere you go for stress relief. So what's your happy place?
On the dance floor.
So you found your escape.
I absolutely love it.
That's good. How would if somebody wanted to send you a message or an encouragement, how would they reach you? Do you have a website for your school, and want to learn a bit about your school, where they had to reach you?
Sure. I'm at Kids Campus Preschool, and it's Amy at kidscampuspreschool.com. And it's kids, just KIDS, campus with a K. I do know how to spell. Bought it that way.
Cool. If you want to see something about what Amy's doing with her school, or maybe I haven't asked her a question, or even see if you get advice of where to find a dance studio near you, or there's probably a lot of questions somebody would have. But how do they find your YouTube videos? That's the bigger question. How do they find you on YouTube?
I don't know that we have very many YouTube videos.
Oh.
I don't think I'm on YouTube yet. That's a goal.
Okay, I'll work with you on that, because people need to see, because I actually like watching it. It's really cool. And Carol's been telling me for years, we got to do ballroom dancing lessons. So we took salsa lessons in Jamaica, and I actually really enjoyed it. And now actually I think I'm pretty good at it. So probably because it's simple, I think I'll do that in Jamaica, but maybe you could teach us some other stuff.
Just let me know.
Well, anyway, Cindy and I want to thank you for coming on the Child Care Genius podcast and blessing our audience with some amazing knowledge. You've got a great story. Congratulations on your business success. I enjoy coaching you. I've done it for many years. Love working with you. And you're a great student, a great person, and a good blessing to your community. That's for darn sure. And thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed visiting with y'all. Stay cool out there.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
I can't wait to see her in Jamaica.
I know. You know what I can't wait is for her to give us a couple dance lessons. Carol and I are going to look forward to that because we've been wanting to do kind of ballroom dance or tango or something really cool. So I think it'd be cool to watch her on the dance floor in Jamaica. So one night we're going to be going to the disco and having kind of a theme night. So I'm excited. And she's such a sweet lady. So we're going to enjoy hanging out with her, and you as well. You're going to be with us in Jamaica. So maybe, maybe you can learn a dance move or two, get you and Chad out of the dance floor and learn the tango.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
All right. Well, we are excited to be able to bring great guests like Amy to you. And, sometimes when you hear an episode, you might think, oh, I'm struggling in that area of my business. Now, if you ever come across an area that you're struggling with and you need help in your childcare business, if you're a center owner, reach out to me. Let me do a coaching call with you for absolutely free and help you grow your business. Nobody should be struggling in your childcare business, whether it be financial, enrollment, staff issues, hiring. I can help you and give you great ideas with that. All you got to do is go to childcaregenius.com. Under the coaching tab, select the free coaching call button, and you're guaranteed to come away with 2 or 3 action items to help you grow your business. This call is for center owners only, and it's amazing. I helped a lot of people, and it's something I do about 8 or 10 times a month that I put on my calendar. It's my give back to the community as a free call and something to help you out. So with that, this will conclude episode 50 of the Childcare Genius podcast. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life to spend a little bit of time with Cindy and me.
And just a reminder, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you won't miss any future episodes of the Childcare Genius podcast. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.